push backhand goes too far that time for Fujimura. And now Eranobu up 3-1 with the serve here in game 2. Down a game, however.
So a bit of a turnaround in the second game to start. Arinobu taking the early lead. Good
move.
change, yeah, great change in placement. Brought him into the middle and just see him step across with the backhand. Great way to open up space in the backhand corner.
Fujimura is trying to shuffle back and get quickly for that backhand, but just no way you're going to get there fast enough.
But now Fujimura, the left-hander from Japan, on the far side of the table, making his move.
Good serve there. Dumped into the net by Taimu Eranobu.
Got some great replay angles here from David Del Vecchio and the live streaming crew. And of course, Triode Media Group. They've done a fantastic job over the last 3 days, bringing us the best quality streams on the internet for table tennis.
This is on the big looping forehand for Eranobu, and now the battle his way back into this one is Tomoya Fujimura, and you can hear him kind of exhorting himself to get going here. He's down by 2, but he's up by a game, 1-0. Now he draws within 1.
That's the second point so far this game that he's won straight off the serve. It's exhibited across this tournament some pretty strong service variations. Again, a left-hander. Definitely players have some trouble returning the left-handed serve, especially the one that goes cross-court towards the side edge.
You can see that time Eranobu did a good job of anticipating where that serve was going. He was already across the table by the time the serve was even struck and ready for that forehand.
And that extra aggression and explosiveness I talked about with Arinobu from the beginning is now starting to pay off a little bit more.
Tough backhand that time for Fujimura. Well, right on the white paint of the edge line, and he kind of had to shuffle his way forward to try to get at that ball. Another point one straight off the service by Fujimura, who draws within 3. It's 6-9 serve to Tomoya Fujimura of Japan, to his countryman Taimu Eranobu, and that goes long. So now Eranobu, down by a game, has an opportunity here, or 4 of them, to even things up. 10-6 with the serve. Not on that one. Good return that time by Fujimura. A lot of pace on it. Put it in a tough spot for Eranobu to try to dig it out with the backhand. And that does it for game 2 as the Shot by Fujimura goes long, and after winning game 1 11-8, he loses game 2 11-7 to Taimu Eranobu. Did a good job of coming back, and I thought we did see an example in that second game, Matt, of exactly what you're talking about, is the physical presence of Taimu Eranobu kind of imposing himself on the game.
Yeah, he definitely found his attacking game a little bit more and exploited a few areas of the table where he could find weakness with Fujimura. But definitely on quite a few occasions he was able to hit through Fujimura, which is something that we've seen the players in previous rounds struggle with. So it's a good sign for Arinobu. And of course, I'm sure, being as they've played each other, I'm sure a good many times, they'll have some tactics in the back of their mind. And Fujimura bearing a little bit more pressure now.
Oh, great shot by Fujimura. It looked like he was out of balance, but actually dropped to one knee on his right side there to get the left arm up and drive that ball back on the court and win point 1 of game 3.
Strong serve return from Eranobu. It's really adding a lot of power to all of his strokes.
Touch game really has not been quite as sharp for Fujimura as we've seen in the other 2 matches here on table 1. He's been really good with those little placement shots, but hasn't been quite as accurate in this particular game.
I think on a few occasions Arinobu is almost anticipating that already. As I said, I'm sure they've played each other at least a few times, if not many times, and a player like Fujimura, who would be unknown, both of these players would probably be unknown to the people that they beat in previous rounds. They can get away with a little bit more, you know, especially with the serve and receive, whereas teammates, they know exactly what you're expecting when you serve in a particular way, and that gives them the advantage of trying to return differently so that you can't play those almost automated setups.
It's a real good point. It's almost like a pitcher going through the lineup for the first time. It's really difficult to read. Once you've seen him one time, it becomes a little bit easier to figure out what he intends to do. And what right now Taimu Eranobu intends to do is to continue to power the ball onto the table and make it difficult for Fujimura to do anything other than defend. And right now it's 5-2 here in game 3 favoring Eranobu. Oh, that was set up for Eranobu, and he drove it into the net. The ball went off the top of the net, fluttered up into the air, big high bounce. It's one you think you're going to absolutely kill, and drove it in the net.
He was actually in a good position to play that ball, and I mean, a lot of the time when the ball hits the net, you're usually scrambling. I felt he was there, really overplayed that ball.
Back-to-back points for Fujimura. Has climbed him within 1, and he's got the serve in game 3. It's 1-1 in games.
I would almost label this a kind of battle of power versus touch. I think Eranobu is playing with a lot more explosive play, a lot more aggression. Fujimura, yeah, still takes initiative, still opens up, but very much more a touch and placement player.
Oh, real tough serve by Eranobu, but getting it back was Fujimura, and it just caught the back edge of the table.
It's about as good a placement as you can get. one way of making sure your opponent's not likely to return the ball.
Fujimura has taken a 2-point lead at 7-5 here in game 3. A little momentum swinging his way. We've seen this out of him before. He's been kind of down in a couple of the matches that we've seen, and he has the capacity to kind of regroup and come back. Something that really has impressed me the times I've seen about Kanakja. He's another guy who can be down in a match and really able to block everything out and get himself right back into the game, just battling his way back.
Yeah, very, very focused on 1 point at a time, point by point, step by step. I think one of the things that can kind of happen when you're watching two teammates play each other, you kind of have two extremes, and I think we've seen Fujimura in his last 2 matches play a lot higher quality table tennis than this. So, I mean, sometimes you have both players that know each other so well, you can have the most intense and explosive match ever with a lot of rallies and they kind of know where each other are going. Then, also on other occasions, they have like these tricks up their sleeves that they're saving, and they can anticipate each other a bit better, and you can have slightly shorter points. So I think so far in the first 3 games, we haven't really seen too much spectacular play or too many dazzling points from these two players. But there's still a lot of kind of small detail going into each point, serve and receive. Really trying to stay 1 step ahead of each other.
Now that's what we've seen out of Fujimura before. Deep to one side of the table, quickly deep to the other side of the table, which is a difficult shot to handle, and that one did slide by Eranobu and gives Fujimura triple game point. Good dig off the side of the table that time by Eranobu. Got the ball back on the table. Thought that Fujimura was in a position to finish the forehand, but he missed.
You can see how short that bounced on the table and how low it was by the time Fujimura stepped in to pick it up. He either had to step in a little bit quicker, catch the ball at the top of the bounce, or try and control it a little bit more.
Big point there for Eranobu to draw within 1. Boy, you talk about big points in the match. This would be 1 right here. Back-to-back leg serves here.
Tense.
That's
moments.
Tense right there.
So he's taking a little bit more time just to make sure that serve goes over. And
3 straight points for Eranobu, and he is drawn to deuce here in a critical game 3. And it looked like Fujimura had a chance to put him away at 10-7, but didn't, and now finds himself at 10-10, but with the serve.
fantastic job by Arinobu staying on top of that point. Both players back from the table, all ending with some good placement from Arinobu, putting Fujimura on his backhand side where he's slightly weaker back from the table. So a game point for Eranobu, and the serve.
Oh, and he catches the edge.
The edge.
You can See him give the I'm sorry sign, but he's not all that sorry. He wins 12-10. Saved his best for last. He rings off 5 straight points, down 10-7 in game 3, tied at 1 game apiece at the time. 5 huge points in a row for Taimu Eranobu, who takes the critical game 3, 12-10. And you look, that's a point in the match you might mark as a potential turning point for this game between these two teammates.
Yeah, that's a big mental advantage for Arinobu to be down and, you know, almost seemingly out of a game. Of course, Fujimura probably felt he was in a position to take that 2-1 lead. And when you're sitting 1 point away from having that advantage, to lose that many points in a row and have the game kind of flip on you, a little bit tough. Tough love for Fujimura, but he's going to have to come straight back out here and try again. 2-1 down instead of perhaps the 2-1 up he was really hoping for.
You look back to that ball at 10-7 that Eranobu dug deep off the right side of the table, got it back on. The ball popped up just high enough where Fujimura had the left-handed opportunity coming across to slam it, missed the table, and everything seemed to change at that particular moment.
I mean, one of the things that that helped Arinobu towards the end, and you'll see it with a lot of, particularly players from the Asian continent, is that they're really committed to every single point. And he never let up. When he was down and when every point was crucial, he didn't play safe, and he didn't soften up. He stuck to his guns. He played the shots that he knew he needed to play. So it's really not having fear or kind of being a little bit safe when you're playing in those points towards the end. Nice forehand from out wide from Fujimura.
It's a good rally for Fujimura to win at that particular moment to tie this game at 1. It's a great point, Matt, because the tendency is the closer you get to getting eliminated, you're going to want to play safe and sound, but you almost dig your own grave by doing so if you don't stay. You know, we talked about this a lot yesterday. The good players, you watch them, they're at their best when they're assertive. If they're passive, they're not at their best.
Yeah, and it's particularly true of players who are leading in the game. So a player like Fujimura, who was in a position 1 point away from taking the game, it's especially important to always focus on trying to win the point and never thinking of trying to hold on to your lead. That can give you, even if it's a tiny bit of pressure, that changes the way you play on a subconscious level. Never to think, okay, I've got to hold on here. And that can sometimes lead you to play a little bit safer rather than aggressively actually thinking about how do I win this point, which is more of an assertive play.
Really nice sequence of forehand strokes that time by Taimu Eranobu. And takes another point. We're in game 4 of the men's quarterfinals. It's the U.S. Open, brought to you by Super Micro here from the Las Vegas Convention Center. The final is going to be right across the street at the Foundry. It's going to be a lot of fun on Thursday night. And boy,
Super
that's a lot
placement.
of fun right there too. You could hear the groan from the crowd on that shot. Power and huge dip on that forehand loop as it dove back on the table and caught the corner. Oh man, they showed it again. It was right on the edge. Now you can kind of feel it that Eranobu has really taken control of this game 4. Right now leading 5-2, but the serve over to Fujimura. See if he can regroup. And here Fujimura, he's talking to himself, trying to get the train chugging in the right direction here.
Not quite the trajectory he was looking for on that backhand. You can see he just pulled across the ball. Didn't actually finish his stroke. They're going to give us a nice close-up here, and you can see just pulled across. Not going to give him enough arc to get over the net.
You know, it's interesting. I saw watching Lucian Blaszczak, who played in the quarterfinal before, but defeated by Tao Zhang. But when he hit a lot of balls that went off the top of the net, it almost like they powered through the tape and dove onto the offensive side. It's almost like that the tape, your result off the tape is somewhat determinative of how fast the pace of the drive of the ball. The trajectory is certainly going to impact, but if the ball is flying soft, I think the tape has more chance to deflect it in an adverse direction, whereas if it's really a laser type shot, the tape isn't going to have that bad of an effect on the ball.
Yeah, it also depends on how much spin rotations on the ball as well. If you're playing a power shot and there's a lot of rotation, it's a lot more likely. I mean, depending on, it almost depends how the ball contacts the net, because when you have a lot of topspin, sometimes the ball's going to hit the net and bounce up and off the end, and sometimes it's going to hit part of the net and just roll forward and dribble over. So there's a lot of different factors that would affect a play like that. I can tell you one thing, regardless of how it bounces off, it's very unpleasant being on the receiving end.
Oh, yeah.
Same for the edge of the table. But across the day, as we've seen matches, there have been so many occasions, which great for the US kids here who are watching these matches to see. None of these players let up. None of them give up. If the ball hits the net, they don't throw their hands up in the air and go, "Oh, it's just not my lucky day." On so many occasions, we've seen them retrieve the ball and really fight back to get in the rally. And I mean, a point's a point. And these players have to fight for every point, and it doesn't matter for them whether the ball hits the net. It almost makes them more hungry to win the point. They don't want luck to be a factor, and yeah, I think that's one thing that a lot of the spectators here and young players out there can take away from watching these matches.
And that's off the net and out, and Taimu Eranobu has taken what is a 3-1 lead against his countryman Tomoya Fujimura, and he does so in Game 4 with an 11-5 victory, rather convincing fashion, so that going back once again to that circumstance in Game 3 where Fujimura had game point, triple game point at 10-7, and since that point it's been a relatively dominant performance by Eranobu.
I think Arinobu has shown, I mean, one of the big strengths of Fujimura when he's been out on the table is his ability to balance really well his consistency with a level of attacking power. And I think, yeah, what's really given Arinobu the edge is that he can match that consistency, but he has an advantage in the department of power. So he's been the player who's been more aggressive, he's attacked more, and he's the one forcing the errors from Fujimura, which we haven't seen in previous rounds.
That's a good example of it right there, where it was just real aggressive forehand loops by Eranobu that forced the error by Fujimura. Taimu Eranobu leading 3-1, but trailing in this game, Game 5, 1-2 with the serve. Good short shot that time by Fujimura. Nice little touch. And as Eranobu stepped up to try to return the favor, it floated long, so 3-1.
Oh, a bit of a lucky break on the net, but Nevertheless, an outstanding rally, and Arinobu really powerful back from the table on his backhand. You just see on the replay here those counter loops. Steps around, commits to the forehand. Fantastic shots, but Fujimura now 5-1, fighting his way back in here.
Man, that was a good example of what you were talking about, how Eranobu was able to return that ball despite the fact that it deflected off the net. He hit a really good shot, stuck right in there, wasn't going to be discouraged by that. Didn't land, but stayed right in there. Fujimura that time on the block sends it long. You can see by the way he was practicing the angle of his racket after that shot that had he angled it just a little bit more in the downward direction, might have got that back on the table. His flip is long on the return of service, and Taimu Eranobu is digging back into this one. He leads 3-1, right now trailing 5-3. Fujimura with the serve and the lead, trying to stay alive here.
And that's a great forehand to finish.
Very aggressive posture that time by Taimu Eranobu to draw within one. And you can see that Fujimura did not look like he was just basically blocking, playing defense on that play, despite the fact that he's up by 2 points. A little bit passive.
Yeah, part of it though was I think Arinobu in that point and throughout this game has shown relatively good patience, and he played both the angles first, which gave him a good chance to put Fujimura a little more off balance, which enabled him to set up. And I mean, the last forehand in that previous rally that he powered through with, he had plenty of time to know where the ball was going, and he's definitely made some pretty impressive plays throughout this match. Enough so to give him a 3-1 lead. And a big play from Fujimura, the player in the pink shirt from Japan.
Started with a couple of really nice touch shots there, and then it got into a little deeper rally between the two.
What a great combination.
Quick pick and attack that time by Taimu Eranobu. That one came around the net and caught the corner.
It's a prime example of how you really capitalize off your serve. Really remarkable placement. Great get from Arinobu. There was some real intention there from Fujimura. Again, going for that play where he gets Arinobu to come across with the backhand flip. He's always looking for that space on the backhand. Arinobu doing a really spectacular job of getting back across there and playing quite a high quality shot, considering.
Got the net and got the favorable bounce out of that one, and brings it to 7-7 here.
Appears Fujimura was not really deterred by the last point and went for that same strategy again. Playing the odds here in Vegas.
Now taking the lead for the first time in this Game 5 is Taimu Eranobu, who has the lead in games 3-1, trying to close out his countryman, Tomoya Fujimura.
Fujimura back from the table again. A little weaker on that backhand side. Arinobu has the advantage in those kind of situations because he has such a strong backhand counter. Fujimura doesn't really have that weapon.
He slipped on the play, and that created a lot of problems for him getting back in.
think he definitely backed off a little bit too far. He's a lot closer to the back barrier than he was to the table. And misses his own serve.
For a fault. Now to game point, match point.
Huge momentum swing in this game. Fujimura had such a commanding lead coming into game 5. Almost looked like he was going to come back into the match, but now it's Arinobu who holds 2 match points. Fujimura hasn't been able to contain the power play of Eranobu.
And that's going to do it, as Taimu Eranobu has advanced to the semifinals as well, defeating his countryman Tomoya Fujimura in what would be 5 games here, as he's able to run off 3 consecutive and actually 4 consecutive games in that match between the 2 Japanese players. It went 8-11 and then 11-8, 12-10, 11-5, and 11-8, and he was pretty impressive in doing so, Matt Hetherington. A lot of power in his game, very assertive. It looked like he did look like he was reading Fujimura well, particularly off the serve. It's almost like he knew that Fujimura was going to lay that serve into the forehand court, and he was running around the table even before Fujimura would strike the serve. But one would expect that for countrymen who've probably played against each other more than once.
Yeah, a lot of great anticipation and really superb play from Arinobu and to overcome Fujimura, who's already played pretty well among the field of competitors so far in this tournament. Is a great win for Arinobu, and as I said at the beginning of the match, he beat Wang Jinshin in the previous round, the 2015 US Open champ. Now he will have his chance in the semi-final to take on Tao Wen-Zhang, who's already come through. Another US Open
knock off another champion. No big deal.
Yeah, there's another opportunity here. So he's going to be pretty confident if he can get through that semi-final to have beaten 2 former US Open champions already. Big opportunity here for him. So
got some good quarterfinals coming up still on the stream here.
Yeah, we do have a little break before this next quarterfinal, about 30 minutes, and it will be between Tian Ye and Kohei Morimoto of Japan, and that's going to be Penhold versus Morimoto, the strong server we had here on table 1 earlier today, playing against Ji-Wei Shu. So hang tight, feel free to go out and get a drink of coffee or some popcorn and then settle in, because there are 2 more quarterfinal matches coming up here on table 1, and we'll be right back in no time at all.
I'm Marcus Freitas, and this is how you play a forehand topspin.
In table tennis, there is no stroke more dominant than the forehand topspin. That's why most players base their entire game on creating situations where they will be able to perform this specific stroke. The body position allows the forehand topspin to produce more power than with any other strokes. This tutorial is for left-handers. For right-handers, use the video as your mirror image. A neutral grip gives you the best advantage. The racket should be seen as an extension of your arm. The edge of your racket and the line between your index finger and thumb form a straight line, leaving only the width of a finger between your hand and the racket. In other words, tilting the racket or gripping the handle too loosely or too tightly will create a different grip. Stay 1 forearm length from the edge of the table. Make sure you are in a stable position with your feet more than shoulders width apart and your right foot slightly in front of the left. Bend your knees quite deeply and rotate your torso to the left. Your core should be low. Your left shoulder is much lower than your right one. Drop your hand and racket almost vertically down. Your hand's starting position is slightly above and beyond your left knee. Your arm is almost straight. Your grip relaxed. From a coiled position, move forward and upward. Note the roll of the right knee as it is rotating and rising, taking a lot of pressure at the initial stage of the stroke. Your hips should be going into the same direction, with your left hip leading. The same applies to your shoulders. Your forearm accelerates, decreasing the angle between fore and upper arm. The contact happens in front of the body. During the contact, your shoulders should form an equilateral triangle. The racket is facing the ball. Your wrist is closing the angle and going forward. The point of contact is just a little bit up and further from the center of the racket. After the contact, the racket continues to go forward and up, reaching the final stage 10 to 20 centimeters in front of your head. Your shoulders, hips, and legs face the table at the end of the stroke. Finally, the preparation for the next stroke starts. There are many different types of forehand spin. Form of the stroke, distance from the table, joint position, and contact with the ball depends on receiving the ball and the playing style. You cannot compete in modern table tennis without mastering the forehand topspin.
For more information, check out our website. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
Spins and skills. Upgrade your game.
Hi, this is 2016 Olympian Jennifer Wu. So right now I'm going to show you one middle, one any corner. You need to make sure you use your fingers and wrist, and then your right hip. So and then you need to get in the right position. Okay. So first you need to step in, and then middle use forehand, and then backhand use backhand for this.
For more information, please visit usatt.org.
Hi, I'm Marcus Freitas, and I will show you some service basics.
The serve is the initial and most individual stroke. There are many different types of serves, which, together with several variations, create countless combinations. It is also the only stroke that doesn't depend on the opponent. That makes this stroke truly unique and can result in a huge advantage for the server. This tutorial is for left-handers. For right-handers, use the video as your mirror image. Stand close to the table. Although the serve can be performed from the forehand side and from the middle of the table, most serves are done from the backhand side. Your forearm should be leading the action. Create enough space to enable fast forearm movement. Note that when tossing the ball must be behind the table. For most serves, the ball is hit close to the body. For long serves, the ball contact is closer to the table's surface. Short serves are easier to control by hitting the ball at a higher stage, closer to the level of the chest. The first bounce of a long serve is close to the edge of the table. For the short serve, the first bounce is near the middle of the table. The part of the racket where the ball makes contact plays an important role in creating different types of rotation. There are 6 basic contact points for different spin variations. Deception can also be produced by hitting the ball at different stages of the movement. While serving, most of the time, the path of the racket is creating an elliptical shape or a combination of elliptical patterns. Hitting the ball at different stages of that elliptical pattern results in different types of ball rotation. The aim is to mislead the receiver. Recover to the neutral grip as soon as you complete your serve. Investing time and effort to master several good serves is the best way to improve your game and to see results in a relatively short period of time. You will gain the advantage not only at the beginning of the rally, but also by dictating the rhythm of the game. By improving your serve, your receiving will also get better. You will learn how to read the rotations of the ball and to understand your opponent's intentions.
For more information, check out our website. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
Spins and skills. Upgrade your game.
Hi, I'm 2016 Olympian Knap Jia, and today I'm going to demonstrate the forehand chop. The forehand chop is very useful to improve a player's feeling. And for an offensive player, you can also use this shot when a player leaves a slow and short skinny ball to their forehand, which you cannot handle.
For more information, please visit usatt.org.
Hey, I'm Gina Pota, and I will show you the backhand drive.
Like the forehand drive, backhand drives no longer have the importance and role they once did. However, they remain the irreplaceable basics for the player's development. The drive is a great starting point for a new player to learn the anatomic principles of the game. The backhand drive, demonstrated in this video, is used much more among women. This tutorial is for right-handers. For left-handers, use the video as your mirror image. For the backhand drive, stand a bit less than 1 forearm's length from the table. Keep your feet slightly more than shoulders width apart. Place your left leg forward. Bend your knees, but much less than with the topspin strokes. With the backhand drive, your body is in front of the table. There is no side movement of the torso. As a result of there being less space to exert power, the backhand is a more controlled stroke. The racket is on the level of contact with the ball, and your forearm creates a right angle with your upper arm. Your grip on the racket should be firm during the whole movement, but the truly firm moments happen during contact with the ball. Backhanded actions make use mostly of the arm, especially the forearm. The wrist is also much more active when hitting a backhand, in comparison to the forehand. Although your left hip is making slight movements forward, there is no major contribution of the legs to this stroke. Contact with the ball is made in the earliest stages of the trajectory. Hit the ball almost at the center of the racket. Usually the racket is still slightly at an angle because there is always some topspin rotation on the ball, even when drive-to-drive strokes are played. The point of contact with the racket is the same as for forehand and backhand topspins. All of the force goes into the ball's speed, not into rotation. The goal is a still ball without rotation. The backhand drive finishes a bit less than an arm's length from the body and towards the right side. The action is from the left hip to the side. Drives are where you will learn how to control the ball's trajectory, how to position yourself for each stroke, and will give you your first feeling for the rhythms essential to good practice.
For more information, check out our website. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
Spins and skills. Upgrade your game.
Hi, I'm Marcus Freitas, and this is how you play a forehand topspin.
In table tennis, there is no stroke more dominant than the forehand topspin. That's why most players base their entire game on creating situations where they will be able to perform this specific stroke. The body position allows the forehand topspin to produce more power than with any other strokes. This tutorial